Hello class, welcome to Introduction to Theater, THE 1041 MS, meeting Saturdays, ostensibly between 11:10 and 2:05, once a week. I am Professor Charles Dietrich, and I will be with you, guiding you through this whole 2,500 years worth of theater history and technology and elements, etc., over the whole spring semester. We're heading into the light, so that's a good thing. I want you to, well, we've already been in communication where I sent you my welcome letter and tried to explain how the course is going to work. The course is going to work through emails, this sort of video, and in the emails will be attached full written lectures. We don't have a textbook. My lectures that I wrote are your textbook, okay? And in there will be embedded some imagery and some YouTube links you should copy and paste as you're reading the lecture. Watch the videos. All right. You might want to print out the lecture if you can and save them just to have. Yeah, and save these videos also because you might want to go back over them during the week. All right, so let's go. Today, I really just want to talk to you about the syllabus, to go over the syllabus with you. So if you've saved it, please click it open. If you've printed it out, please grab it and let's go through it virtually line by line. All right. The second video today that I'll be sending you will be about origins, so that's a separate one. So there's all the information at the top with my email address. I have a Baruch email address, which is charles.dietrich@baruch.cuny.edu. The problem with that is that with my home computer here, I cannot send attachments to anything I write through the Baruch. There's something funny about my attachments. I don't know if it's a bug or whatever, but it's been going on for a long time and nobody seems to be able to fix it. But when I send it with an attachment, it bounces back to me saying it's undeliverable, that it looks like spam. And I think that has to do with CUNY. All right, so we're using my personal email address for this. All right. So, skippyd89@aol.com. Required text? None. Handouts and study lists will be provided. I'll explain this as we go through this too. The course outline, I'm not going to read it to you. It's right there. But let's get on with in terms of what you need to be doing for the class. The class will consist of a total of 7 quizzes. They are not accumulative. They will be on each set of lectures as we move along. For instance, today you'll be seeing about origins, and there'll be some things about ritual, etc., and those will be on the first quiz. Next week, the 6th, you'll get a written lecture on Greek theater, ancient Greek theater, and then you will get a list of study terms. You should look up the terms on your own and save them. I would, if I were you, I would print out the terms and then go search them. Use Google, use whatever, use my own lectures. I will explain. You know, for instance, Aeschylus, Sophocles, and Aristophanes are Greek playwrights, right? So when you see their names, you should just look them up. It's going to be termed, there'll be more about this the closer we get to the first quiz, which won't be until our 3rd class, because you will be quizzed the next week after we do it. I'll show that when we get to the calendar portion, all right? 7 quizzes. These quizzes are 15 questions each. They are multiple choice questions only. You are to just send me, and what I'll do on the days of the quizzes, we'll send them to you at 11:30 in the morning, and you will have until noon to get back to me your answers. And all I want is a list. You should put down something like, for the question, 1A, 2, C, 3, A, 4, E, etc. Just in a row, 15. 7 times 15 is 105. So I've already built in 5 extra points. So, and anything over, I'll tally them all up at the end of the semester. And anything that adds up to 93 or above is an A. You might know this code thing. Anything from 91 to 92.9 is an A minus, etc. Down to, well, anything under 60 is an F. So I add them across, and that's how I figure your letter grade for the quiz. All right. So that should be coming to you. As you do it, you'll see it's not so scary. The papers. One short biography of an assigned theatrical personage, and that's going to be due February 27th. I'm going to send you each individual a person. Say Charles Dietrich will get Maria Callas. Maria Callas, Callas, was a 20th century, later half of the 20th century, opera singer. One of the great opera singers in the world, and a consummate actress. You will find out as we move along through the course that opera is theater. Opera are stories told through song, through music. So you would have no problem looking her up. There's a lot written about her. I've sent you already the little thing about how to write this report. And actually, just before it's due, I'll probably send it to you again separately. You're going to write this report in the first person. It's a biography, what I'm calling an autobiography. It is, my name is Maria Callas. I was born Maria Kalagopoulos in New York City to Greek immigrant parents. During World War II, just prior to World War II, I'm doing this from memory, my mother and father split. My mother took my sister and me back to Greece, and where the family was from. And because of World War II, I was sort of trapped there. I went to the conservatory in Athens, learned opera, blah, 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 blah. It's all first person, I. I died in Paris in 1970-something, whatever it was, 77, I think, 78. I was, and my ashes were strewn into the Aegean Sea off the coast of Greece. Other people might have been buried at the cemeteries in the Bronx, or there's a famous man of color who was a Shakespearean actor in the 19th century named Ira Aldridge. He's buried in Poland because he died when he was on tour, and they buried him there. So, but individuals, that's what I mean by the first person. That paper must be at least a page, and do your personage well. I think everybody should come away from this course knowing at least one famous person from theater history. Now you're going to get actors, singers, dancers, designers, costume designers, directors, producers, all these people. But I will send you a list once the course settles out at the end of next week, and we know who is staying with us and who is leaving, and who is left. I will send the list to you of the names. You just find yourself on the list and find the person that you're there. It saves me having to send 50 separate, emails. And this you send back to me, of course, written, double-spaced, 1-inch margins on the side, and because I don't need any books, it's all going to be through the internet. This is my internet assignment to you. You go to Google, you go to Wikipedia, you go to biography.com. If you have a person that you found out in your research is alive, then you can go to their website, Julie Taymor. Julie Taymor, a director and designer, directed The Lion King on Broadway. And Miss Taymor is very much alive and well and living in Connecticut, I think. Anyway, she would have a website, and everybody's website usually has a section called biography. Take your information from there. It's not a scholarly paper. You don't have to do footnotes. But what I do want is at the bottom of this paper, 3 links to the sites you used. More is fine, but at least 3 to tell me where you found this information, the article or whatever. All right. So, but that'll come to you again when we get closer to the end of February. Then the short paper. So number C here. Back to the syllabus. A short paper based on 10 articles sent from the Times. Now, you've already gotten 2 articles. I have other articles. Usually, I try to send articles as I find them. But unfortunately, in the middle of this awful pandemic, theaters in New York and around the world are closed. You can't go to the theater. So because of that, there's not much news to write for the people who have theater articles in theater sections of newspapers. It's all from the New York Times, by the way. So everybody's writing about the pandemic. I mean, aren't we all bored with that? So I don't mean to belittle it, but this is not going to be. There's some articles about the pandemic I'll do, but maybe about reopenings, maybe something about what's going to happen with the unions. Like for instance, the not theater. There's off theater now. The teachers' unions. I was just watching the news today in Chicago. The teachers' unions are up in arms about forced openings of schools. Talking about high schools, grammar schools. The teachers themselves don't want to go back. So even if the government says we're opening the schools, the teachers are going to strike. So that's kind of news. So something like that might happen in the theater right now, and you'll get that current article. But be aware, some articles might be a couple of years old, like the 2 I already sent you, because I've saved a lot of articles for this kind of thing, situation. Out of all 10 articles, you are to pick 3. Just 3. You do not write and compare them or anything like that. You'll write about Article 1, Article 2, Article 3. This should be about 2 pages, altogether. It's your opinion about the article. Why? And that's an attachment about how to write that too. You tell me what the title is and maybe who wrote it, but it's your opinion. Did you like this article? Did you learn something from it? Why did you like this article? Or why did you hate this article? You could have hated it, if you choose one that you don't like or really don't like. But these 3 articles, and that's due March 20th, I see here. So, and again, you'll have to just send it to me separately. You can do these before the due dates. Everything before the due date is great, because then I don't have to sit within a few days having to read and grade all these things. You see, I'm trying to work it out so that you do not do any sort of plagiarism. You're not going to quote from the articles. Well, you could quote from the articles, but that won't matter because it's your opinion. Your opinion is never wrong. Your opinion is your opinion. You have to say, if you don't like a certain actor, say, I don't like Meryl Streep. You got to tell me why you don't like Meryl Streep. I had a student one time say in a class that he didn't like musicals. And I said, really? I said, why? Why don't you like musicals? Well, people don't sing in real life, he said. Then I proceeded to show him through examples that that's not true. I started by saying, oh, you mean your mother never sang you a lullaby? You never sang happy birthday at a friend's party? You never sang a hymn in a church? Right? Or you never sang along while you're vacuuming your floor with your favorite pop star on the on your iPads now, or whatever, however you listen to your music. I come from a time where, as you see behind me, I have a very large vinyl recording collection. So I listen to records while I'm working, etc. So and I sing along. You're alone in your house these days. I'm singing along like I haven't done since I was a teenager, in my apartment. So anyway, um, saying you just don't like it, that's not the reason. You may not, there might be other reasons why you don't like it, but you need to be able to tell me why. And hopefully by the end of this whole course, you will know why. Right? You don't have to like musicals. You don't have to like Shakespeare, but you have to be able to tell me why you don't like these things. Or why you do. That's why. It's your opinion. Critical thinking is what I'm after. All right? So that should be kind of fun. And you could write, I would write one every couple of weeks or something and save it and then send me the whole paper at the end. So that's good. That's all. And they, I say here about, the fonts and the thing, and double spaced. It's just double spaced. I used to be able to, when you handed in these papers in a classroom, the double space allowed me to make comments. What I would do now is send it back to you with a grade on it, with a comment across the bottom. Right? So, those are the two papers. Now, the biggest thing is the final thing, D, the presentation. You see, if we were in school, I would have divided the 50 of you up into 10 groups of 5. The 5 of you would get together. You would choose a play in the city. You would all go to a performance together. And then you would come back, and the last day of class, you would present your play to us. Say you went to see, I'll just say a Broadway show, The Phantom of the Opera. One of you would talk about the sets. One of you would talk about the costumes. One of you would talk about the lighting. You see, the quizzes are all about the history of the theater. That's what they're going to be about. The presentation is about the elements of the theater. It's about your experience about going to the theater. And this is where it's going to be very tricky for us, because we're not going to the theater. You're not going to the theater. Some of you have already written me about your past, and some of you have had the theater experience, and that's a good thing, but many of you have not. Now, this cannot be something you saw last year. That has to be something now, and what it's going to be is what's here. I am going to send you, I said here about 10 theater pieces. I think I've got it up to 20, 15 or 20. It's a page of YouTube links to full stage productions around the world. They could be high school productions, they could be musicals, they could be operas with subtitles, they could be ballets, they could be plays. I wanted to do it that even though you're watching it on a screen, the performance is being done in a theater. In a musical or a comedy, for instance, I wanted you to at least feel you're part of the audience, that you can hear the audience applaud, you can hear the audience laughing, etc. You'll see the curtain go up and lights go on. It's a shadow of the real experience, and I can't give you the real experience right now. So we have to trudge along as much as possible. And this is where this paper, all by yourselves, you are going to be responsible for writing about the elements of the theater. There's a whole course later on, I'll show you in the calendar, where I tell you about lighting, sets, design, and what all that means. And you get some of it because historically, in other words, electric light, we start talking about electric lights in theaters at the end of the 19th century when electric light was invented. So, but yet, Shakespeare's plays were done outdoors. There were no lights. And if they did indoors at castles and palaces and stuff, it was by candlelight or torches. So that's a history of lighting, history of scene design. That comes in the history lessons. But the modern experience. So I will try to make that as interesting for you as possible. All right. And it says here, each student will write a response paper to one theatrical performance chosen from a list of 10. It's going to be more than 10. Musicals, dramas, classic opera, etc. Classic meaning things like Shakespeare itself. And Greek tragedy, whatever. The paper is to focus on the production elements of the show, the sets, the lights, the costumes. You don't have to tell me the plots. I can click on the same links and watch it myself. I know what the plots are. I know these shows. Believe me, I went to the theater most of my life. I've been on stage. I've acted in theater. I have directed plays. That's what I got my master's in, was directing. A full stage production of Cabaret, the musical. So we're not talking about film. I will express things as we go along, where film is different from the stage. The biggest thing about the stage, people, is that it's live, that the actor and the audience share the space. You're breathing the same air Meryl Streep is breathing. I say this in one of the things, when you, written it rather, when you go to a movie or even watch it on television, what are you actually responding to? In a film, you are responding to light projected, flickered on a wall, a screen, by an actor that would have created that scene, who was photographed acting 3,000 miles away in Hollywood, probably a year ago. By the time the film got released, now, they made that film already. So that's not live performance. We are talking about live performance. Somebody standing up in front of you and telling you a story by enacting it out. We'll talk about acting the next video and what that entails, because theater does not exist without two elements: a person standing there telling the story by enactment, not just telling a story. I could read you a story, but enacting it, becoming the characters, and somebody listening, receiving it in. That's the audience, back and forth. All right, so that's really what theater is. That's what makes it so exciting. So, all right, so we can't go to plays this semester, so we can watch them online and write about them. And that's due the last scheduled day of class on 5/15. I think the semester ends 5/19 or something. But the last is May. But the last day of our meetings is May 15th. Now, we would have a final, but we're not having a final. I don't do a final, and these papers are not due on the final day of the final. It's due the final day of the class, because that's the day that you would have sat in front of the class around a table, 5 of you, and maybe with a picture of a logo or something, or photographs of the play you saw together, and you would present the play to us. You can't do that this semester, so you're just going to have to do it through paper. All right, so that's what we're going to do. Now, here it says students are expected to log in every Saturday at 11:10. That's not true. All right. On quiz days, you must log in at 11:30, because that's when I'm going to send the quiz. And then you send me back your list of answers in a return email with your answers. And then I will grade them and I'll return it to you. I might say, and it'll be individual, because I've been writing to everybody blind copied to secure your email addresses, etc. So it's just really between you and me individually. These videos are collectively. But I would say, like, 15 out of 15. Well done. That's all. Or I might say 14 out of 15. Then question number 6 should have been E, Sophocles, as an answer. So I would always let you know where you made the mistake. We all learn by our mistakes. All right? So, in order to be synchronized, this is if we were doing Zoom. I can't do Zoom on this little old computer I have. I have a laptop, but it's 9 years old. So it doesn't support Zoom. I didn't want to go to, and anyway, I have 50 students. 50. There'd be all these little pieces of faces staring back at me. No, I can't do that anyway, unfortunately. All right. Hopefully we will be back in the class next semester in the fall, although who knows, right? We can't really tell. But we'll be fine. We'll be fine. The class I had last spring, we were thrown out of class in the middle of March. We already had met and all, and then they threw us out of college and they closed the college up after the second week of March or something in 2020 and all. And then last fall, we were totally online. It's a shame because I don't know who you are. You know your names to me, but I don't have faces. So, and that's okay. We'll meet in the future sometime. All right. This is where I said the cheating, the thing, leave the cell phones and the tablets off. But that's because if we were in the classroom, that would be there. I just realized I should have just taken those sentences out. So plagiarism, though, yeah, that's a failure. So no. All right. No food in the room. I really should have edited this. I'm sorry. Okay, then the note, due to the subjectivity of grades, the only thing that's an objective grade is your quizzes because the numbers added up. If I add up all the 7 quiz totals, so you get 15, 14, 15, 15, 14, whatever, right? You end up with 102 equals A. But if you end up with 85, that equals B. Now that's the only one, and I will use that number to when I figure out the final grade. But here's a note about the subjectivity of letter grades. Because of the subjectivity, I've given most everybody, I will give everybody the benefit of the doubt. So if the paper is A, it would be A. But it's going to be listed, it would be considered 93, not 100. So that if you did get an 85 on the quiz, and yet you got an A, an A, an A on the biography, the article paper, and the presentation, which will count twice, by the way, it would be AA, because that's 40%. Everything is either 20 or 40%. So I know that 520 is added up to. I'm an actor. I'm not a mathematician. I can't figure out 10% for this and 5% for that and 3% for this. No, it's just this. Excuse me. So say that happens and you get the 85 on the quizzes. So it'll be 85, right? One thing. And then 95, 93, 93, 93, 93, whatever that adds up to, divided by 5, and whatever that is, it might come up to 91 or something, which makes it an A minus. But that won't come out that way. I don't, again, I'm not going to argue that. Only the quizzes will be calculated as actual points. And if you're feeling a little lost, please contact me. Contact me. Let me know if there's something going on with you. I'm not prying, but if you miss a quiz, I will tell you missed your quiz. What do you want to do? You can make them up. I'll let you know that now. This is very strange times we're in. I'm not going to penalize people for stuff like that. As a result, I'm not taking in attendance. The attendance is when you do the quizzes. And when we look at the syllabus, you'll see you're going to get quizzes or part of a quiz almost every week starting the 3rd class. So, which is the 13th, I believe. So, but we'll look into that as we scroll down. I will contact you. I will say to you, you missed your due date. Where is your article paper? I will try to stay in touch with you as much as possible. I care about your education. Right? Even in this pandemic, even though you might be in Zicklin, you might be a business major and wonder, what am I doing in a theater class? Just sit back, relax, learn it, all right? It's fun, and you'll be able to astonish your friends in the future. Even when you watch a movie, you can see when scenes are well acted or not, and you'll know why. So, let's be eased up on that. So let's go to the calendar portion, on page 2. And here we go, right? That's today, January 30th. Welcome. Well, it's today, the 1st class. I shouldn't use dates because I might have to use this again next semester. And then that's this video, the welcome. The other video that's coming to you today is on ritual and storytelling, and it's the acting. Ritual and storytelling is the written, that will be the written lecture. And then the acting is the video. The next time it'll be classical theater of Egypt and the Greeks. Really, just a little bit about Egypt. There's one thing you need to know about Egypt. I'll tell you now, is the Abydos Passion play attributed to a man named Iconefrit, but that's in the lecture. Anyway, and the Greeks, and then the playwright. Now that won't be a video from me. The playwright is a thing where we're going to talk about what is playwriting, and that's a written lecture. It's a separate thing. It's the only time there won't be another video, I think, from me. Because you're going to read a scene from a play called The Little Foxes, and you're going to read all of its stage directions, because theater is action. It is not showing, it is telling. Excuse me, it's the other way around. It's not telling, it's showing, right? I can tell you that somebody crosses the stage, gets shot, and drops down dead. That's in the stage direction. That's in the action. The actor walking across the stage, getting shot, and dying, that's the acting. All right? So after you read this little section, it's a 3-page piece of a play. There's an old film from the 1940s where the film was made in black and white film, and the same scene that you read will be shown. All right, but that's explained, and that's the thing. Then the 13th, we move on to the theaters of Rome, and there's a video on criticism. This is where the first quiz comes from. Quiz number 1. I'm pointing to a screen, and you're not seeing it. You're seeing me. Theater of the Ancients, Egypt and Greece, 15 questions. All right. Then we move on, the next thing, to after Rome, theater of the Christian Europe, the Middle Ages. And there's a whole thing about stage directing. Now, the quiz normally would have been on Rome and the Middle Ages, quiz number 2. So what I'm doing is I'm splitting it. You'll get 7 or 8 questions on the 20th of February about Rome. And then the next week, when we go into the Italian Renaissance, you'll get the rest of quiz number 2 on the Middle Ages. All right? Then we don't have a quiz on the 6th, because I don't want to take the time anyway. Elizabethan theater or English Renaissance, that's Shakespeare. There's a lot in there. And I have a video about the how to read Shakespeare. So that is part of that one. But then when we do the Spanish and the French, we again split the quizzes. Then here's stage production, designing for the theater on the 20th. This is where I have a big video about sets, lights, and costumes, and a whole lot to read about it and everything else. Then for two Saturdays running, we have no class. That's spring break, right? So we miss those 2 Saturdays in a row. We pick back up again with 18th century theater and the second part of the Renaissance quiz. The 19th century theater and quiz number 4. Now it gets a quiz every week. See, I wanted to make it like as if it was a quiz every week, and it pretty much is. All right. So, and I don't test you on that thing about designs. There is no quiz about designing. You don't need to know what a Lico is from a Fresnel. That's lighting equipment, by the way. You'll see it in what I've sent you and stuff, or will send you. You'll just have to, but I'm not going to quiz you, because that's the kind of thing that will be in your final paper. You see, this way you get to know about the theater history, a little bit of its literature, the plays themselves, etc., and movements, and the technical or the elements of the theater. What we do backstage, all right? Some people have that interest. Everybody has that interest. We all want to be on stage. But even as an actor, you have to know that Christopher Marlowe wrote Dr. Faustus in case you're ever cast in Dr. Faustus. So you have to know your history. And so it moves along through the centuries. 18th century, April 10th. Then the 19th century, and you're quizzed on the 18th. And then we take a little side trip to the theaters of Asia. Most of this course is about European and, by extension, American theater. Theater doesn't come to the New World, quote unquote, until the Spanish Renaissance, when the Spanish conquistadores bring theater performance to the New World. In 1603, the same year Hamlet appears in England, there were 3 professional theater companies in what became Mexico City. The Puritans come to North America. We don't get theater in this, what we call the United States, until the 18th century, 1700s, etc. So, but in the meantime, because of that, I did not want to shortchange the theater of Asia. These will be the classical theaters of Asia. It will be broken down into India, Japan, and China, and some other countries, just to mention things like the Indonesian shadow puppetry from Indonesia, it's Beijing opera or Peking opera in some textbooks, older books, from China. Kathakali dance and Sanskrit drama from India, and the big 3 from Japan. We get No theater, Bunraku puppet theater, and Kabuki theater. And we'll take a look at all of that. So when we come back on May 1st, that'll be the quiz. You'll have all week to study these things, because I'll be sending you, along with the lecture, say, for Asian theater, will be a whole list of stuff from Asian theater. All right? I was going to call it up on the screen, but like I said, I'm looking at my screen, but you're looking at me talking, so I can't show you what I mean by those lists, but I will tell you. There's a question on that might say, okay, the list would be Bunraku under Japan. The definition is a Japanese stylized puppet theater, marionettes, right? And you'll see 3 puppeteers manipulating the puppetry, etc., and all. So the question would be, in Japan, the puppet theater is known as, and end of the 5. All quizzes will have 5. All questions will have 5 answers to choose from, and you would circle Bunraku. Or the question might say the puppet theater, of Japan is called the Bunraku, or the Bunraku is in Japan, and then the answer might be a puppet theater. All right, I don't remember exactly. I have 2 sets of quizzes, so they mesh in my head. So that's a really interesting theater, the ancient Asian theaters. And then we start the modern theater. Late 19th century, you'll see how the dates, 19th century only go up to 1890. And then late 19th century, 20th century, modern theater continued, and we talk about the producer and the quizzes on the modern theater also. That I send you all at once when I do the 19th century. We just talk about the producer, and you have that final quiz. And then you see the papers are due the 15th. Now, it seems like a lot of work. It really isn't, since you're doing it on your own, which is, I understand, a difficult thing to do. I had a whole month to create this little video between us, because when we were thrown out of school in March, I didn't get to do the first couple of lessons the way I want to do them, which I devised last spring. And so we will just keep working through it. And I'm doing this video tonight, 2 nights before I'm sending it to you. That's what I'm saying. Procrastination. It's hard to work at home. I'll be down at school on Saturday. I already told them I wanted to come to the office. So, you could always write to me. Always write to me. That's fine. But please, don't take advantage of not being there. Don't miss quizzes unless you are sick and you can't take the quiz. I will always remind you that there are quizzes. So that you don't oversleep. And no matter where you are in the world, you could be in California, right? In California at 11:30, 9:30, 10:30, 11:30, 8:30, 9:30, 10:30. It's like 9:30. 10:30, 11:30, 12:30. No, it's 8:30 in the morning. You get up at 8:30 in the morning and you're there to get that quiz. Because I'm sending it out to you New York City time. And if you're in Paris, 6 hours ahead of us, right? Then you do that quiz at 7 o'clock at night, 7:30. So always be aware. Don't say, "Oh, I missed the time." You know it's coming. And now the worst thing, or one of the more interesting things, I suppose, about this being self-taught and in this day and age is that you individually now, you always were responsible for your own education. Nobody's going to do it for you. Do a little at a time. You have a list of 15 items. Look at 5 a day. In 3 days, you'll get to know it. I would print out the list or save the list where you can write on it. I'm sending everything in Word. Please send everything in Word. I cannot write on a PDF. It has to be in Word, all right? So that I can comment on the bottom of your paper. So, what was I saying about that? I just lost my train of thought. It doesn't matter. Not really. All correspondence that way. Ask every question you want. I think that's all I have to tell you tonight. I look forward to start working with you. All right? That's what I said. Be responsible for your own education. Yes, you are. You always were. You have to register on time. When registration starts in March for summer and next fall, get in there. I had a student a few weeks ago who said to me that he wanted to ask for the overtally into the class. Now, the problem is in my department, we do not overtally our classes. And CUNY's or Baruch's has decided that we are keeping to the limitations of our regular rooms, which means I could not take more than 50. I advised him 3 things. First of all, I said, where were you? We started registration at the end of October. Why are you asking me this, in January? The other thing was that he could either monitor the class enrollment for this particular class, and when it shifted, when people dropped and added, grab a seat, grab it. Or take a seat in another section. We had a night class, so that if he was working, which I think was his reason to take Saturday, he could have done it at night. And I think that night class was asymmetrical, or however it is, meaning nobody's even asking you to sign in for quizzes. Or wait until the summer. You could take it in the summer. Somebody else is teaching it in the summer, but there is Kate Camerata, a colleague of mine, is teaching this same course in summer 1 and summer 2 coming up, and I'll be teaching it again next fall. So you're welcome to join. So there were options, right? So everybody's responsible for his own education or her own education. So anyway, all right, enough of that. I'm not here to pontificate, although it sounds like I was, wasn't it? I don't have anything more to say about the syllabus other than welcome. And I look forward to our working together. Be well, be safe, stay safe. Besides the coronavirus, there's still the flu around. Winter's coming. There's still the cold and just regular cold, getting a cold. Do a lot of vitamin C. Eat a lot of oranges, etc., and stay well and happy and healthy, you and all your family. All right? So that's me, Professor D, signing off for the night. Thanks. Bye now.